The Saigyou Ayakashi blooms again! I, your fine host Sugoi, would like to proudly present the Saigyou Ayakashi. Now, this deck does one thing and one thing well. It combos with one card. What's this card? A normal monster named Sunseed Genius Loci. And how do you get to him? Well, you run 3 of you, that's 6 already. Now, think of it like this. 3 of you, that makes 9. Well, you're starting to add up a bit. Plus 1 of you makes 10. Now, that's quite a bit of copies of one card. But, this deck heavily relies on you to do that card because you need to make these little trees. And little tree climbed up into essentially everything until you get to this big tree. Plus this other tree. But we'll get to that later. Now, let's go over, I guess, the card by card. 3 Genius Loci because you need them. 1 Mardell because Mardell searches out other cards you need. 3 Parallel Exceed, mainly for going into Strenna. Strenna can then go into Hyperiton by being tributed by the Rika cards. 3 Snowdrop and 3 Mudon. For the simple reason that I wanted to go for consistency in getting out Miss Teardrop and to get rid of Strenna off field. So consistency. 1 Carrot Weight because Carrot Weight can send Spore to Grave. 3 Lone Fire, mainly go to Genius Loci or to any other plants if you already have Genius Loci in field. Ash, ignore the hand traps. Those are free slots. The hand traps are the free slots. I just put them in there. Also because Spooky Dogwood is a cool monster, and I like the artwork. The Sunseed Twin because you need them. Because you can go Sowing. Sowing can summon Sunseed Twin. You usually have a Loci and Grave by then, so then you get +2. Plus, if you have Dryas on field, Sowing allows you to lose life points. Dryas says if you lose life points, you summon another Sunvine. Then you summon Healer. But we'll go with the combos later. Laurel, because you can special summon with Air Mage Jasmine on field, so free summon. Spore, like I said, because you dump with Carrot Weight, and Spore can go into, Marjoram or Rosemary if you really want to. Angelica, because in case things go awry, it's a level 1 tuner that can make Rosemary. Unexpected Die because, like I said, Genius Loci. 1 for 1, Genius Loci. Sowing, you kind of need to run it. You can run more than 1. I'm running 1 because I'll explain that later, but like I said earlier, it gets you free cards essentially. Glamour, because Glamour can tribute monsters, which also triggers Strenna. Plus, it can just search a mood on, so that you can get your sheet. Called by the Grave, because you don't like hand traps. Sunvine Shrine, because it also gets you free cards, and it discards 1 plant, such as Carrot Weight Champion to get to Grave, so then you can send a Spore to Grave. Sheet, because it's a free card that steals stuff essentially, and it's a negate if you don't want to tribute a plant. Blessed Winds, because when you summon Marjoram, it searches Blessed Winds. Sunavalon Bloom, because your big boss monster of the deck also searches the strongest spell trap in your entire deck. Or at least the strongest trap, the strongest spell card. I'd have to say it goes to Sowing. 2 Dryas, because you need them, because it's... This deck will combo through every single card in the extra deck, essentially. 2 Dryas, 2 Healer, 2 Jasmine, 2 Melius, 1 Eat, which I'll explain that later. Mr. Belllancer, the Resurgence, because he's an easy summon. Strenna, because it can go into Periton, or Hyperton. Teardrop Queen, because it's pretty easy to make with Snowdrop. Essentially free negates. In case things go awry, you have Rosemary, because I like Rosemary. And Sweet Marjoram, because it's a free destruction that doesn't target, which is also a cool thing to have. And the side deck, it's just other things you can run, different variants. Other than that, this deck is kind of bland, I'm not gonna lie. When I made this, I was like, it has the coolest theming possible. My favorite theming, just because the characters I like. But it does one thing, and it does it well. It's just, I wish they went more into the plant theming. And you'd be like, what do you mean? Sure, there's plant theming here, but it's like, this deck relies so heavily upon support from other archetypes that if you run a pure build of this, all you're going to have on field is Mr. Big Tree and Thrasher. Because I've tried making a pure build of this, and that's all it's going to do. Now, not that I didn't like the pure build, it's that, let's just say it might have been inconsistent without the support of other archetypes. And that's why I said, fuck it. We're gonna do the one everyone else wants to do. But I made it a little worse, because why not? I'm not running Cactus Bouncer, because Cactus Bouncer is boring, and now you may be like, why not just run 3 Shrine and 3 Sowing? Well, you can, but the thing is, you don't have to. Because I've tested this deck several times, and you don't need to run 3 of both of them. Realistically, you can get away with running 1 of each, because this is how I thought of it. If you can't make your inboard, you lose the game. So what's the point in running more, because you can only run 15 cards in your extra deck. If I could run 3 of this man and every other card in here, I would chunk this shit up to 3, because then you can make infinite inboards, essentially. Then you may be like, well, why not run the Sunvine card that recycles your cards? You can, but then by that point, you've already lost the duel. Because you will go through every single card in your extra deck to make your inboard. And your inboard is quite strong, don't get me wrong. This inboard is damn near unbeatable, unless your opponent, Dark Rulers you or something. But it's a damn near unbeatable inboard. The only problem with the inboard is, if they beat it, you lose the game straight out. There is no way to come back if you lose your inboard. Which is why I decided to run 1 of each to opt in, more hand traps and stuff. Because there's no point in running more than the cards necessary to play the deck. And actually, let me show you that. Let's see. There it is. This is the core of the deck, essentially. If you remove every hand trap I placed in here, you just go through, removing the cards you don't need to run. Just remove all the extra shit. This is essentially the core of the deck. You don't need to run more than this realistically. This is all you need to run for this deck to be playable. But I decided to opt in, periods, I need to get out of here. This is essentially all you need to do to make this deck playable. Now, with 11 cards in the extra deck, there's not much space for much else. But as in the main deck, these 21 cards can construct this endboard. You could fill this with hand traps, and it can consistently make this endboard. Because it's all you need for it. Because you'll summon Loci, Loci goes in Dryas, Dryas searches Sowing, Sowing effects, you get more cards. Then you go into the Jasmine combo gets you 2 cards, such as you go for Carrot and Spore, then after that you go into both your Meliuses, then after that you would summon Loci back again, get Dryas, search your Shrine, Shrine can do other things, then you make Resurgent, then you make you, and then you've already had Marjorie on field, then you have your inboard. This deck can consistently make that inboard. It's just this deck needs this core to do it. Which I think is quite funny. Which is why you can also run the Rika cards in here, because since there's so much extra space in the main deck, you could just chunk in a couple extra deck cards. But essentially this is this deck. It can only do that one thing. Because after you do that, you run out of cards in that extra deck, and you cannot play the game anymore. Unless there's some plant card I don't know about in the main deck you can play. I mean, Giga Plant Turbo, whoop-de-doo. But this is what this deck will do. Nothing more, nothing less. But essentially this is this deck, and I guess I'll give you, a rundown of the combo I've been trying to explain to you. So, you summon Lone Fire. Lone Fire effect goes, it says hi. Then Lone Fire says, search the genius loci. Because why wouldn't it? You go for loci. Loci goes into Dryas effect activates. You ignore Parallel Exceed. You go to Sowing. Then you Sowing effect. Then you grab the Twin Seed 1. Then you activate both effects. Grab loci. Dryas will want you to grab the healer, because it's the only other target, unless you're running Thrasher, which you can, but you kind of need the extra life points from healer. Then after that, you'll go special summon with Jasmine, making that. Ignore that still. Then you want to activate your Jasmine, send a card to go for Mardell. Mardell effect will activate. And then you'll grab Mr. Laurel to hand. Then you'll do this step that I've messed up countless times in testing. Special summon Laurel to special summon the last Jasmine. Now that you've done that, you'll activate Laurel effect. You'll draw 2 cards. 1/1. Then you'll grab Mr. Spore, because he's cool like that. Then you'll grab Carrot Weight, because he's cool like that. And then you just go Wambo Cambo into Melius. Melius will want to special summon out another card, ignore that. Just grab Loci. Then you grab other Melius. Then this Melius will want to go popping off. Then you grab another Loci. Then you'll want to special summon Mr. Then you'll make Dryas. Dryas effect will activate. Go for Shrine. Then you'll activate Shrine effect. You'll send Carrot Weight to Grave. Then you go for the Carrot Weight. You'll send Spore. You'll summon Carrot Weight. You'll activate Spore's effect. You'll probably just send Laurel since you don't really want Mr. Loci out of the grave. Then you've got your 6. Then you'll do that. Then you'll search your free trap card, Blessed Winds. Then after that, you go for a Resurgence. Then you go for this boy will come to field. Then you'd be like, well, you just sent him to grave. Also, he would search, Sunavalon Bloom, but since you already have in hand, whatever. Then, this man has the cool effect to do this. Shut up. And then he's on field. Cool. Ignore Strenna for now. This is essentially the end board. Ignore Strenna for now and ignore Sunseed Twin 1 and activate its effects. This is essentially the end board. Depending on cards you have hand, you can use the other 4 cards. But this is the end board pretty much. You got a free bounce, a free all negates, a free destruction. That's pretty good in my book. What lies beneath the cherry trees? You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. Bodies aplenty fill the hue red. You simply wouldn't believe that bodies line the cherry tree.